All right, so we're back. In fact, I'm recording this back to back. And we're on the same map actually. And this map, Words of Eisen on Lame, has quickly become one of my favorite ones. I used to kind of dislike it when it first came out. This is a map by Solas, by the way. I used to dislike it when it first came out, but now I kind of dig it. It's really really nice. Um, at least it's considerably less campy than the vanilla Words of Eisen. Anyhow, on the right hand side of Forwards of Eisen on lame, we've got Isirion, and he's playing for Harad, which is obviously the main new faction in the point in the patch 8.0. And he goes for two bazaars, which is the main resource production building of Harad, and also puts down a Mahud gathering, and we'll talk about these units in a second. Puts down his third bazaar, in fact. On the left-hand side of the map, we've got Old Nosy once again, who's playing for the faction Erebor. Placed two tunnels and straight into... Well, he went with Hall of Warriors, and he immediately upgraded to level 2. So that's a very interesting choice. I feel like he's expecting the tribal units, probably, and that is why he's going for Grimhammers, because these guys are obviously anti-spam, and the tribal units are in fact spam. So, you can connect the dots there. But Assyrian is about to surprise him, I feel like, because he has gone for the Mahud gathering. And from the Mahud gathering, from those of you who haven't, been able to play 8.0 just yet, you can get a bunch of units, but on level 1 you have access to this is on level 1 as well, right? Yeah, it's this one that requires level 2. So you can gain access to Mahud warriors, which is light infantry. They're very quick, they have decent damage, but as you can see, they don't really have that much armor. And even these green hammers, which are supposed to be anti-spam, are fighting with them quite effectively. They're not gonna beat them, but they fight them like decently well. And interestingly enough, so both players haven't gone for. This is actually very nice to see. Neither player has gone for their buffing ability, their standard 25-25, but rather Old Nosy has gone for Ravens of Erebor, which debuffs the enemy units by 25 speed, as well as buffs your own units by 10 speed. And on the other hand, Isirion has gone for Dry Spell, which is a very good choice against certain factions, especially I would say Erebor, Rohan, as well as Lorien. And he casts Dry Spell on this tunnel, after which the tunnel loses 75% of its production, which is huge, and that effect lasts for 2.5 minutes. Yeah, so the Mahud spam continues by Assyrian. Old Nosy is very cleverly putting his tunnel here right next to the little hill over here, so that Assyrian can't really clump his units really well, although Assyrian does manage to clump them relatively well anyway. And these Assyrian Udrik, dwarfs, the pikeman dwarfs, are gonna be eaten by the Mahud. No chance that they survive. So one of the main new features of the Erebor infantry, basic infantry, the swordsman as well as the pikeman, is that now at level 2 they have kind of a charge ability, which grants them, which first of all they literally charge into the enemy, dealing meta impact. In simpler terms, knocking them back, kind of like trampling them basically. And also temporarily gain 25-25 stats, armor damage, which I don't think lasts for a long time, but still, that's a really really nice buff, especially the armor buff. It lasts for 10 seconds, yeah, so it's pretty short, but especially the 25 armor buff on these basic dwarfs is like really strong, because they're even without it they're quite tanky. So Isirion is continuing to send in these Mahud units, and but Nosy is also trying to not play the game entirely from defense. trying to at least send some battalions for harassment, so that, you know, so that Isirion doesn't send his entire army for harass, but is forced to defend as well. But Isirion is taking some really good engagements over here. He takes down the Erebor builder, and as well as the key, you know, one of the key farms of Nosy, which had been built right in the beginning of the game. So it was, you know, it had the chance to level up faster than the other ones. But yeah, so these Grimhammers are gonna make mincemeat from these tribal archers, because these are considered spam as well, obviously. But yeah, Assyrian is continuing this Mahud harass, and it's very, very hard to play against it. I feel like Nosy can either, you know, to counter it, Nosy can either go for a bit of a misclick over here. These units weren't sent forward with a move, I'm assuming, or maybe that's like an off-host issue. It happens. Not a big deal. But yeah, so Assyrian has upgraded. So first of all, he has put down a second Mahud gathering. So he's just like doubling down on the Mahud spam at this point. And probably also subsequently wants to switch to mumakil units. But he's also gone for Harondor Outpost, graded at level 2. And from level 1, you gain access to the Harondor Warlord, which can summon obviously units. And at level 2, you gain access to the Harondor Raiders, which is like tier 1 cavalry. Not too good, not too bad. You know, it's kind of like you get what you pay for, essentially. They're pretty cheap, so no complaints regarding that. Cast down, you know, Assyrian cast down dry spell over here, continues to harass over here. But yeah, so one of the I feel like, so basically when 8.0 first came out, people had a hysteria about these Mahud units, asking like, how do you counter them? They run so quickly. Like, I literally can't, bro. What is this unit balance? Who develops this? They're very susceptible, first of all, to cavalry, second of all, to archers. And I'm not saying, like, they can be very effective, don't get me wrong, especially if your starting build isn't suited particularly to counter them. They can, like, wreak havoc pretty effectively. But if you expect, like, if you mind game, you know, if you game plan, if your mind games are on point, and if you game plan accordingly, then they're not that big of an issue, you know. They die like flies to archers. They can also be trampled quite effectively. So Nosy, having lost a lot of his economy over here, is trying to kind of sneak some economy to this side of the map, as well as he's gone for an Erebor workshop. He might go for the battle wagons to more effectively counter the Mahud units. And as you can see, Isirion isn't building like literally any pikes. So either Arca or Roak. Which Reign has he gone for? In fact, I have no idea. We'll look at the builder over here. So he's in fact gone for the birdie unit, Arca. And Arca obviously on level 5 has a summon. He's gone for Ironfoot. Okay. Yeah, so he loses his second builder, in fact, over here, which is very bad. Like, that's really bad. So old Nosy is once again on the back foot in this game. But does summon the cavalry over here, the Barding Outriders, which are going to deal with these 2 battalions of tribal units. Absolutely no problem. But Isirion gets the information that Nosy has kind of like a forward outpost over this side of the map. So I think his next moves are going to be aimed at dealing with that. He has built a pavilion of the Golden King right in the snap center of the map. That's interesting. Great forward position. He's gone for Scorpions, which is another great choice against Erebor. I feel like Harad has like an endless list of things it can build against dwarves, and you know, one more effective than the other. Casts down Dry Spell once again, but goes around to harass, you know. Maybe this. As you can see, Scorpions are deal really, really high damage to structures. They can also deal quite good damage to heroes as well. So yeah, so just to as there isn't a whole lot happening on the map right now, the players are kind of resetting, trying to make that transition from early game to mid game. And Assyrian has gone for level 2 Mahud gathering over here and built one of the Mahud chieftain units, which has kind of like an untamed allegiance ability. That's if you're familiar with vanilla game or the 202 mod, then you'll know what I'm talking about. That's basically capturing any creep on the map, and also the chieftain gives discounts on the mumak units. The mumakil would be the plural of the word mumak, so the mumakil. And also you can one of the fortress upgrades. So the chieftain discount stacks up until 20%. And you can get an additional 20% from the fortress. So if you get both of those upgrades, then you can build mumakil. Initially they cost 1,600, and after all of the discounts, you can build them for just over 1K, I think, if I remember well. So yeah, as I said, once Assyrian discovers this forward position of Old Nosy, he went for it and he successfully deletes it. And this Scorpion gets level 2 for that. But Old Nosy, since he's playing for Erebor, he's using Erebor like Erebor is supposed to be used, which is with mobility through the tunnel system. So like he lost his position here, but no worries. He will just evacuate a lot of his infantry over here and attack from the center. And I feel like Isirion, I want to say, doesn't have much to deal with this attack, but scratch that. He actually does not have anything to deal with this attack, except the this one battalion of Mahud warriors, which can't really do anything to the dwarven swords. And Isirion does go with the upgrade of I forgot the name, but basically gives a discount as well as summons an Oliphant, which can be very, very handy in defending your base. As we can see here, he pushes Old Nosy away from his base, at least temporarily. And also this upgrade, I'm pretty sure opens up access to the ultimate upgrade on the fortress, which is Sauron's reward, which can be cast on a hero to grant it 33 armor, as well as that much damage. So Assyrian, once again, Assyrian is playing this game very both are playing this game very smartly, in fact. So in the beginning of the game, Nosy was probably expecting spam, so he went for Grimhammers, so that was a good choice in theory. And just now, Assyrian notices that Nosy doesn't really have that many archers, is mostly playing with infantry, which Erebor usually plays like this. So he's gone for the carrion feeders from the Golden King's pavilion of the Golden King rather. So yeah, these guys can be quite effective against clumps of armies that do not have any ranged support, basically. So for his tier 2 ability, Isirion has gone for 4th, Man of Darkness, which summons 2 battalions of Easterling pikemen, as well as like a supporting hero with them, which is a very, very good summon. It's good against troops, it's good against buildings, good against heroes. Not like, it doesn't like one-shot heroes or anything like that, but like it's just, it's quite effective in general. Isirion does need to be careful over here. Siarhul, which is already level 7, I hadn't noticed it actually. Damn, it's already level 7, so obviously his leadership expands with levels, and since he already has level 7, that means he can buff tribal units, Harondor, Mahud, as well as the Zigur units. I'm curious if we will actually see Zigur cultists or Hasharim blades over here. And damn, did I miss something over here? I think I did. Yes. So Gimli is on the field. What a inattentive caster I am. So Gimli is already level 3, and he did use his extra ability, which pins a hero, and he pinned CR rule with this and finished him off accordingly. So Assyrian, let's see what composition he's going for over here. So he's going for Casimir, which indicates that he's going to make the transition to the Umbarian Citadel fairly soon. And that is in fact what has happened. But since he's gone for Casimir instead of Buradapan, which makes sense, against dwarfs, presumably he will upgrade to level 2 fairly soon to gain access to Black Numenorians, Black Numenorian infantry, which Casimir obviously has leadership for. And his leadership also applies to the Black Numenorian Vanguard, obviously. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure that fighting, with Mahud units against dwarfs is the best of ideas. Although these are Grimhammers, so fighting against them is fine. But fighting against the basic dwarfs, the dwarf swordsmen, these ones, the Azar Baruch, it's probably not a good idea because, as I said in the beginning of the game, the Mahud units aren't really good in like army to army fights. They're more for harassment because they don't really have armor. And Gimli once again uses his extra ability. Gimli has been very effective thus far. Already has taken down 2 of Isirion's heroes, Ciarul in the beginning, and right now, just now he took down Casimir as well. So that's a big blow to Isirion actually. So Isirion started the game really, really well. As you can remember, or maybe you don't remember, he got 2 of Old Nosy's builders, as well as a lot of his tunnels, and most notably the starting tunnels, the tunnels that were present from the beginning of the game. As you can see, the Scorpion is like relatively tanky, but his structural armor isn't really that high, so he takes a lot of damage from arrows from structures. But he once again does manage to, immediately before dying, he does manage to take down that central tunnel that Nosy has. But old Nosy once again is trying to expand over here, so he has 2 tunnels over here, on the bottom side this time, switched from top to bottom. And yeah, so Assyrian is using the Harad features to the fullest right now. So you can garrison archers, or any unit really, I think, on top of the mumakil, which makes it that much more effective because, as you can see, the Mahud headhunters are shooting at the dwarves while the mumak is trampling them. And does this mumak have the armor upgrade against pikemen? Because it kind of trampled them without dying, so I'm not sure if it has it. But yeah, so yeah, as I predicted, Assyrian is making the switch to Black Numenorian Vanguard, and Gimli uses a nobody tosses a dwarf AoE ability. But yeah, so let's see. In terms of economy, Isirion is definitely ahead. He has 800, and he is cash floating hard at the moment, not spending his money. Maybe he's saving up for a hero, but I'm not sure it's the case. It's probably more likely that he's just cash floating at the moment. So just to recap the situation on the map and the overall situation, he's gone for Dry Spell as well as Fourth Man of Darkness, and as his tier 3, he's gone for, oh, that was really nice. Nosy used the extra on the Warlord, which, this is like they function like Angmar does in vanilla. So if you kill the Warlord, the entire battalion dies. Anyway, so he has gone for those 2 abilities as well as his tier 3. He summons, Fourth Man of Darkness once again over here. And Nosy is trying to harass on the other side. Casimir is already level 5, in fact. Okay, so he's gone for Unrelenting Sun, which obviously cancels out other weather effects, and also slows down enemies by 33% across the entire map by 15. Within a duration of 15 seconds. So on top of that, it also gives your units 20% speed once again globally. Yeah, so that's pretty nice actually. That's a really nice ability to have. But yeah, so despite Nosy's efforts, um, and despite his really good start, he doesn't really have units on the field right now. In fact, like a couple of seconds ago, he had 0 command points. His economy is intact though, and his starting farms haven't been destroyed. So his economy is quite strong. But Old Nosy is also expanding to the bottom side, and he's also managed to rebuild quite a lot of tunnels over here. So if we look at his side of things, he's got two tier ones, as well as a tier 2 deep delving, which is an economy buff in the form of 15%. Mahud are faster than the builders, by the way. Yeah, you gotta be careful with this. Mahud will chase down your builders and finish them off. Yeah, and is 3 points away from his tier 3. So a bit behind in terms of power points, but not too much. So Assyrian is continuing to spam Mahud over here. Finally goes for the Black Numenorian swords, combined with mumakil, which I feel like in theory is a really good combination. You know, a composition of troops to counter to counter an Erebor player that is going with the full melee strategy of spam of basic dwarfs. He's gone for the second hero, that is Glowing, and obviously Glowing and Gimli combine together really well. And yeah, he did take down the Golden King's pavilion in the center of the map, and he has finally gone for Erebor Assembly, in fact, and he is upgrading it. So he's probably going for the Iron Hills units rather. Isirion did feed one Black Numenorian battalion over there, but that's not such a big deal. That's the charge ability, by the way, I was talking about it earlier in the game. As you can see, it just shreds through the Mahud units. And yeah, over here, there's a decent stack of Dwarven army, and Nosy really doesn't have much to deal with it. He does have Casimir with Black Numenorians chilling over here, so he has put down the Southron trade caravan over here, which I feel like I should have mentioned a lot earlier. So the way you get upgrades as Harad is that you build the Southron trade caravan, you put it away from your production resource structures, because because yeah, as fierce competition says, they don't really gain that much resources if near bazaars, so you need to put them away. So as they level up, they they unlock upgrades for your units. And some of you might say that this isn't very efficient, because like your units need to run to it every time to get an upgrade. It doesn't work that way. If you build, first of all, you can, like, this is a caravan, right? So you can literally just pack it up and move it here, let's say. And I'm missing a lot on the map, I'm aware of that. But yeah, I feel like, ooh. Okay, so quickly about the Southern Trade Caravan. Just basically, you can build another one, put it right here, and it will have, if at least one of your caravans already has access to the upgrades, then other ones will have as well. So Nosy gains access to his tier 3 Moria Reclaim, the veterans of Khazad Doom, and as you can see, they basically one-shot Casimir over there. And it's now looking, it's starting, like, the tides have started to turn. In fact, they have started to turn a long time ago for Isirion over here, and I feel like that's primarily thanks to the economy that Old Nosy managed to sneak into the flanks. Basically, the Oliphant is very successful in dealing with the Khazad-dûm summon. Nosy is trying to take down the Umbarian citadel over here. But yeah, so Isirion once again lost his Casimir. I've lost count already of how many times Casimir died in this game. So once again, he has put put the Mahud headhunters, uh, garrison them into the Mumak. That is very nice to see. But yeah, Nosy continues to have troops over here with two support heroes and one of them even fighter heroes. And Isirion is investing heavily into the upgrades. But even with upgrades, I mean, okay, with upgrades they will obviously beat the dwarves, but Gimli consistently makes the difference. Um, so I don't know. So this mumakil is very successful in cleaning up Nosy's economy over here, and he summons Assyrian summons Khan Palanax with their hero Khan Borax, I think, something like that. Varach Borax, sorry. And he's trying to take down this level 3 Erebor assembly. He's even gonna commit the Mumak on it, and but Nosy does manage to get the Iron Hills crossbowman out on the field. He has the forge, therefore he can manually grade banners on them. And as you can see, the Iron Hills crossbowman absolutely tore through the Mumak over there, because obviously under when knotted strings is active, they ignore enemy armor, and mumakil are susceptible to archer fire anyway. So that's kind of like a hard counter to mumakil. Sorry, once again I made the plural mistake. So this is what I was talking about. Even though the Black Numenorians have upgrades, uh, and you would expect, them to wreck this dwarven army, which they kind of do, to be fair. But Gimli is already level 8 and is super tanky and is proving to be the difference. He does go down, but before that, they took down Karan Lambar, so that was kind of like an even trade. And Nosy is moving closer to his tier 4 ability, does have 900 eco. I feel like after that beginning, and has also captured the inn over here, after the terrible, terrible start that he had, the fact that he managed to rebuild, stay in the game, rebuild, and take back the initiative of the game, or like take it for the first time in his hands, because he never had it before that, is a testament of the play of the level of the you know play of the level of skill that these guys have. Both of these players are quite good players. So yeah, as I said like a few times already, the sneaking tunnels into the flanks that Assyrian eventually noticed both, sneaking operations, both on the top side of the map and also the bottom side, and cleaned them up once. But Nosy continued spamming them rather. Um, and now also has access to his upgrades, and also has Dane, and Dane obviously grants 75 armor. 75 armor on Iron Hills units is absolute freaking cancer. Like, it's just, they become freaking tanks. I'm not saying it's like imbalanced or anything, because this is like late game dwarves, and dwarves are supposed to be really strong and tanky. But it's just like once the dwarven player reaches this stage, and has like upgrades, has his heroes out, especially Dane, Gimli, it becomes really, really hard to fight with them head on. Like, this kind of engagements become really, really hard to win. You can still harass Erebor all over the map, sure. You can try to kind of win Erebor by out macroing it. That's entirely possible. But this type of engagements 101, without any supporting abilities, are going to be really hard to win. So Dane is kind of trying to duel Casimir. Let's see. Casimir, I feel like, is probably Casimir would have killed him, but Assyrian did not want to risk it. I'm not sure, actually. Dine might have killed him, in fact. But yeah, so, oh man, I'm missing. So Isirion has his tier 4, the Black Matriarch, and look at this model. It's just gorgeous. Like, whoever made this model like well done to you. This is the tier 4 matriarch, the black matriarch looks insanely beautiful, and she has some very useful abilities both against structures, also like a terror thingy, fear rather, not terror, also against units as well. Uh, so yeah, so Assyrian uses this to clean up whatever is left of Assyrian's economy in his base, but Assyrian has like Assyrian's economy isn't going to suffer from that. I mean, it's going to suffer somewhat, but it's not going to be a deciding factor at all. But since, as you can see, Old Nosy has 950 and 300 army, doesn't really have that many troops on the field, but he does have two heroes as well as Iron Hills infantry with upgrades. So this is like, even though it doesn't show over here in the CP game, in the CP count rather, don't be fooled by that. The dwarven player has a really strong armor over here, and he's about to gain access to his tier 4, which on this branch is the summon of, or rather, you get like you you get like 10k randomly. Okay, not randomly. Like you put down the 10k yourself, and you got to be able to kite the Dragon of Vase subsequently towards the opponent, because otherwise it's just gonna be really sad for you. So let's see. That's exactly what he's doing. So he does get the money, does not get mugged. He's gonna lose Dine for it. But yeah, so the dragon, the summon dragon, which has 24,000 health. Damn. Yeah, so he manages to, in fact, successfully kite the dragon away from his own troops and put it like on Assyrian's troops. Righty, so Isirion doesn't really have an eco over here. And Old Nosy just got 10k, so he can build like literally anything he wants. He can go for all the upgrades on the fortress. He can get literally all the heroes. He can get like 3 builders and start spamming barracks and units. So yeah, he did purchase a lot of heroes there. I would imagine. So yeah, it's not looking good for Isirion, which is a shame because he started this game so well. I feel like in the mind games department, he won the game in the beginning by going Mahud. I don't think OC sorry, I don't think Nosy was expecting that. Although that might have been intentional play by Nosy to go with Grimhammers against Mahud, but I highly doubt that because the Grimhammers don't really win that engagement at all. So yeah, so Old Nosy has access, has his Moria reclaimed back, and is probably going to use it and finish off the fortress of Isirion over here. Isirion is trying, continuing to harass. I feel like this was a good call going for infantry upgrades because like that at least gives you a fair chance of going against the dwarven infantry. But I don't know. I feel like just Isirion didn't manage to kind of fully press. He did have an advantage for most of the game, let's be honest, but he didn't manage to fully press. And yeah, so this is one of the things that I mentioned. You can literally just pack up the caravan and move it away if the opponent is trying to, kill it, or you want upgrades. But for upgrades, it would be smarter to just build another one and put it next to your barracks because, as I said, the effect remains. So yeah, his bot, his I want to say reincarnated. So he's just recruited Kanalambar once again. Kanalambar gains level 3, which unlocks his AoE ability. But Isirion isn't out of it just yet. In fact, if you look at Old Nose's economy, Isirion is being very successful at once again cleaning it up. But I don't know how he's gonna defend this. Old Nosy has had access to the Khazad Doom summon for quite a long time now, but hasn't used it just yet. And Isirion uses the Harad Oasis ability, which is like tier 3 as well. Righty, so yeah, so this should be the final blow, I believe. I mean, I'm not sure what Isirion can do to defend his fortress over here. And yeah, he's literally on 350 eco, which means like 1, 2 farms. Um, Dine uses his red axe buff, and I believe Gloin uses his buff as well. That is correct. And they're gonna go for the fort together with the Iron Hills infantry and the Khazad-dûm veterans. This is actually beautiful to see, such a mix of units with the heroes, and the fortress is gonna fall down really, really quickly. Over here, Assyrian is continuing his final attempts at dealing damage to Nosy's economy. But that's obviously not going to be enough. And if old Nosy, I mean, it's not necessary. He's already won the game. But if he clumped his units better here, then the fortress would go down much, much quicker. And yeah, that is the end of the game. That was a great game as well. So I have just finished casting Old Nosy versus Flame. I'm not sure which one I will upload first, but both were good games. This one was very good as well. We saw some of the stuff that Harad has to offer, especially in this matchup. I feel like Isirion's mistakes weren't strategic. He was going for all the right units to use against Erebor. But I just feel like he didn't, as I said already, he didn't press enough when he had the advantage, when he had map control, and Old Nosy didn't really have much on eco left. And Nosy managed to build tunnels in secret locations, so to speak, and that allowed him to stay in the game. Also, deep delving. Do not underappreciate deep delving, because I see that a lot. A lot of people kind of underestimate deep delving, but it can be crucial. It is in fact vital, I believe. If you're playing Erebor in a 1 versus 1, you gotta go with that ability like 8 times out of 10, maybe, or something like that. But yeah, so GG to both. Both played well, really well, in fact. That was another game that I enjoyed watching as well as casting. And yeah, see you all on the next one.